One Piece chapter 1138 is titled The Harley, and guess whose hideout it's confirmed to be? Shocking, it's who's who. Don't know how he was able to get a hideout in Udon, but he did. They really need to figure out the whole security thing. With that away, let's get into the chapter. So apparently Loki can see because he says that Shamrock is the spitting image of Shanks. Now the reason why this is a really big deal is because Loki, he has bandages over his eyes, and there's a few things that we can take away from this. Number one, that all the beating and constantly kicking that Gunko did to maybe it was enough to knock the bandages down from his eyes. But at the same time, if you look at other panels, Loki, he still appears to have bandages on his face. So the only other option or thing that I can think of is that Loki, his observation hockey is just that good, and we know that he has future sight, but maybe he has something that transcends even that, because if you compare what his statement was to Fujitora, well, back during Dressrosa, Fujitora mentioned something along the lines of he wishes that he didn't blind himself so that he could have looked at Luffy's face. So maybe it's possible that Fujitora could reach a level to where he has observation hockey that allows him to be able to see what someone looks like. We do get the confirmation of the relationship between Shanks and Shamrock. They're twins, and Shanks is the younger of the two, and this is why I'd say it's really important to look at the scans as well as the official and wait for that to drop, because in the scans I will say it made it seem like Shanks and Shamrock had a closer relationship based off of what was stated, how Shanks, he returned to the Holy Land and grew attached to the filthy world. There's a few things that come to mind. Like I said, if you compare that to what is said in the official, Shamrock says that he is my estranged brother, which essentially that means alienated or have a strained relationship. The first question that comes to mind is, when did Shanks return? Was it Shamrock who was the one to meet with the Gorosei, or was it actually Shanks? Because I'm not gonna lie, I originally thought it was Shanks, then I thought it was a Shamrock, then I have no clue which of the two actually met with them. If I was a betting person, based off of how the dialogue went, it seems like Shanks and Shamrock, they actually know each other. And also from what Luffy said later in the chapter, maybe Shanks, he returned to the Holy Land after Roger's death, because there was a panel where Shanks was crying after he had a talk with Roger, so maybe Roger informed him who his family actually is. If that's the case, and just in general, how is that possible? Because based off of what happened and Shanks went to marry Joa, it seems more so like he declined to go back and wanted to go back to being a pirate. And if you look at what happened to other celestial dragons, for example Doflamingo, whenever he wanted to go back, he wasn't allowed to go back into the Holy Land, but he still has some ties to the celestial dragons. And so that makes me wonder if the Don Quixote family just doesn't have clout like the Figureland family, and if that's so, well, how much clout does that noble family have? Also, when Garland was introduced, he was introduced with the title of Saint, but Shamrock doesn't have that, so why is that? Seeing this trio's flashback of Garland, Shanks, and Shamrock, at least whenever Shanks went back to marry Joa, oh, it's gonna hit. Loki's talking his mess, standing on business, even in chains, which I respect, but Shamrock, he's like, alright, enough of this, and he unleashes his sword, which apparently turned into Cerberus and attacked Loki. His sword definitely ate a devil fruit and was more likely than not a mythical zone, and is definitely awakened because of the clouds behind him. And the evidence we can use to say that Shamrock's sword ate a devil fruit is Spandam's Funk Free back during Ennis Lobby, which raises the question about Shanks. Did his sword, which is known to be Griffin, did it eat a griffin? I know the anime tends to add stuff and take liberties, but we did see a griffin, at least like the aura or something like that, when he was fighting against Kid. Also, what does this mean for swordsmen? Does it mean that elite swordsmen, that their swords, they eat devil fruits? I know it was a while ago, I don't remember if it was in an SBS or if it was an interview, but Oda stated that if Zoro swords did indeed eat a devil fruit, then it would have been Kaido. Or is the pinnacle of swordsmanship still obtaining a black blade? I'm not willing to sell stock just yet, but Mihawk, you might want to start doing something, buddy, because you're starting to reach dragon level with all these different swordsmen that are making appearances. I think you should make your move. The sword is massive because it grew to the size even bigger than Loki, and each dog, they had a sword sword coming out of their mouth. Pause. I know how some of you guys are in my comments. But seeing that Cerberus has 3 swords, I wonder, hey, maybe this is another indication that Zoro may fight against Shamrock. Gunko, she ends up creating some kind of bird out of her devil fruit, and her and Shamrock leave Loki to try and fight Cerberus. And if he's able to survive, then hey, Shamrock, he will welcome Loki's challenge to him. As they're leaving from experiencing with Loki, they realize that subjugating the giants, it's not going to necessarily be easy, so they're looking for other ways to do it, and they're going to start by taking a child hostage. And to do this, it'll require another member of the Holy Knights to be summoned. And this is where I wonder if who they're going to summon, how strong they'll be, and if, depending on the situation with the Straw Hats and the Giants, if we'll get even more than just one more Holy Knight summoned. And also Dragon, he may mention that when the Holy Knights start to make their moves, that's when the real fighting will begin. So I wonder if, damn it, Dragon, are you finally going to get up, stop looking east, and actually fight someone? The scene changes and we're back at the castle where Luffy's group, he's talking to the Giants that were knocked out by Gunko. They're under the belief that Shanks, he was the one to knock them out, which on the surface level it would make sense, but at the same time it's someone different. He doesn't have a scar and he has both of his arms, so you would think if they've seen red hair multiple times that they wouldn't just automatically assume it's him. I love Luffy. He believes in Shanks, rightfully so. I don't think Shanks has ever done anything dishonorable or would make Luffy not believe in him, and he's like, Shanks is a chill guy, he would never do something like this. It either has to be an imposter or maybe it's his long lost brother. And Luffy's like, well, now that I think about it, Shanks, he never talked about his family. I always assumed that his family was Roger, Rayleigh, and the rest of the Roger pirates, except for Buggy, because we know they have their beef, and all of a sudden, someone's headed towards the castle. It's the same person at the end of Egghead that was like, come on. We speculate it's the one that was drinking, I forget his name, with Crocus, as well as right before we got introduced to Elbaph. More likely than not, a lot of people are saying it's Shiki. I definitely think it's going to be Scopper Gabbana, and he's going to give us a little bit of insight on Shanks' character. But if you guys have made it this far into the video and you're enjoying the content, let me know by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. I pump out different One Piece content almost each and every day. Franky's group, which I say group, but it's really just him and Ripley, they're looking at the treasure tree Adam, and Franky, he notices a mural. According to Ripley, the mural, it dates back somewhere between 800 and 900 years ago, which would place the time frame right in the middle of the Void Century. Looking at some of the images, some of them don't even look like giants. There's a fishman, Emmett, and those that look like a Ming. This is something that Robin needs to look at, and speaking of her, we end up transitioning to her at the library with Saul explaining the Harley and Robin about to read it. Saul explains that because of the book, and we already know about it, but there are different versions or different beliefs that people have about the sun god. Robin starts to read the Harley out loud, and what is written here is the word version of what Franky is looking at in the mural. The Harley is split into 3 worlds, and the first 2 happened in the past, and then the third world is sort of like a prophecy, something that Luffy and the Straw Hats are going to have to deal with. I'm not going to try to decipher each world here because I've already done a video where I broke down each of the world where I talked about the mural, and that'll be in the description below. And the reason why I made a whole separate video is because there is so much to decipher. There is so much content within the Harley as well as the mural that it made sense just to do a separate video, and I didn't want to necessarily make it that video and then regurgitate the same content in this video. Some quick points to me, it seems like it explains a little bit more about the origin of devil fruits, how the world ended up being destroyed, how powers happened, and the struggle between Emu, the alliances, and Joy Boy, or more specifically Sun God Nika. It makes me think back to Skypiea and how they mentioned the different gods, the god of the forest, the sea, the sun, and the earth. And lo and behold, it was mentioned in the Harley. So those of you that decided to skip Skypiea, or you're telling people to skip Skypiea, stop it. This is a never-ending battle, and it seems like no matter who allies with Joy Boy, Emu always wins, because you see what looks like the Arc Maxim or potentially Uranus. There's Wano Samurai, Minx, Lunarians, Emmett, Giants, all of them who appear to be chasing or going after Emu, who's holding a sun, which made me think a lot of the Mother Flame, and more specifically linking the worlds and what Vegapunk said about him being the wings of Icarus. Like I said, if you guys want a full breakdown of Harley, I already did a video of it. It'll be in the description. I do want to tell you guys, take what I say with a grain of salt. There is so much unknown, so much speculating. What I say is probably going to be different from what somebody else says. I think we'll have some stuff that's the same and similar, but it's just so many different I don't even want to say misinterpretations, but there's just going to be so many interpretations about it, like the Giants say. So you guys should definitely, like I said, take it with a grain of salt, at least until we get some more information by Oda. That'll happen eventually later in the arc. But that's it for chapter 1138. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never saw a new video from my Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.